What insider secrets does the company you work for not want its customers to find out? I work for a casino. Pro tip: don't go. Casino employee here too. The dealer wants you to win. Unless you're a stiff. Definitely. I used to work slot maintenance and pay out jackpots. It's fun to see people win and get excited. It's something new and interesting to help break up the monotony. I agree. Dealing to a person who is genuinely excited to be winning is so much more fun for us dealers. It's hard for me to do that. As a poker dealer, you're more of a referee, so you have to remain neutral and run the table, as they say. Our Chinese manufacturers will be more than willing to supply us with a certificate, assuring us and our clients that the cardboard and paper packaging for our new line of electronics is 100% recycled and eco-friendly. 1000% bullshit. I called our Chinese suppliers for a food-grade certificate for the food-grade conveyor belt they sold us. They sent over a RoHS certificate, saying their product could be safely disposed of in a landfill. Sadly, the auditor accepted that. I recently started working for a cleaning firm. My boss basically said, it doesn't actually have to be clean, it just has to look clean. Edit: yeah, what I meant was, it doesn't have to be sanitized, it just has to look clean. English is not my first language, so I didn't realize there was a significant difference. Pretty much my motto as a kid, every time my mom told me to clean my room. Former sandwich shop employee. They put soy sauce in the tuba salad. There, that's the secret recipe. Manager made me sign an NDA about it. Spy sauce. Edit: misspelled. Meant French horn salad. I work at a big store in the Netherlands, and at the end of every advertisement week, we have to make sure the shelves are almost empty, so it will look like almost everything sold out and the products we sell are popular. In reality, we still have a lot in the stockroom, but this way people will buy it faster, because 1. It's on sale, 2. It's almost sold out, 3. It's a popular product, 4. They think the company, as a whole, is doing a great job. It isn't really a big secret, but I thought it's quite funny. Edit: the regular shelves are well stocked, I only meant the shelves that are for the advertised products of that week. This is why customers ask if you have more in the back, and then employees get mad. I will always tell the tale of the Nintendo Wii that actually was behind the counter. It had just come out and it was sold out everywhere. When a new shipment came in, you needed to be first in line before the store opened, or you were not getting one. My parents and I were at Target, for some reason I can't remember, but they were out of Wiis as well. My mom said I should ask the people at the counter if there were more. Obviously they wouldn't have any, because everybody was sold out. They would not hide any. Imagine my surprise when my mom goes up to the counter, asks for a Wii, and the person pulls one out from under the counter. Did they really have one just in case somebody asked? Did my mom call ahead to reserve it, and for some reason they did? I will never know. But I do know, they sometimes do have extras. This is true of academia in general, but you have no idea how much money textbook companies spend on wooing professors. Just to give a couple examples, the last time I went to the big conference in my field, which was held in Atlanta that year, Bedford St. Martin rented out the Atlanta Braves Stadium, bussed everyone at the conference there, about 2,000 people, gave us a free buffet that stretched through 3 rooms. We were up in the box seats, with an open bar, and they opened up all the games in the back hallways for us to play. Pearson's party was far more modest. They rented out the Coke Museum, gave us all free tours, and their free buffet only stretched through 1 freaking room, but with much classier food, but still had an open bar. Just in case you were wondering why those textbooks of yours are so expensive. Big technology companies providing really slick services, especially where you buy things online, make it look like they really have their shit together. Most of them don't. Their back-end systems are held together by virtual rubber bands and glue, and their staff stumble from one fire to another, because the management teams never stop trying to develop new features to allow technical debt to be repaid. The public-facing end is just fancy enough to hide that all from you. This is as true for AWS as it is for Ticketmaster. I used to work for IBM. It was well known within IBM that all projects would be significantly understaffed. This meant that the people working on those projects would work their asses off, We were all salaried employees, so we made no more money by working 80 hours per week, compared to the normal 40 hours per week. IBM did make more money however, since most of our projects were billed as time and materials, effectively hourly. When some internal people started complaining about the excessive overtime, IBM offered them the option of becoming an hourly employee. This meant that they no longer had access to healthcare, 401k, etc. But they would be making significantly more money, in some cases, more than doubling their previous salary, since they would be getting paid for every hour worked. IBM didn't think many people would choose the hourly option, thinking that their benefits plan was enough to keep people there, as salaried employees. Of those that were offered the option, something like 95% chose to become hourly. Every single person that chose the hourly option was fired within 1 month. That meant that some projects that were already understaffed were even more understaffed. Many projects were cancelled or delayed because IBM chose to use these employees as an example of what happens when you complain too loudly. The garlic butter we put on our pizza crust is, in fact, garlic margarine. There's no dairy in it at all. I'll get customers calling in every once in a while who ask for soy cheese and no garlic butter, and if I'm feeling nice, I'll let them in on the secret. They can enjoy that garlic white goodness without worrying. Garlic butter just sounds more appetizing than the truth. Editing for clarification/disclaimer, I work for a local pizza joint, not a chain. I deliver. I have nothing to do with making any food whatsoever. I know butter is healthier and that margarine isn't vegan. I don't care. You're ordering an effing pizza. If health is your main concern, you done F up already, son. I take donations at Goodwill. We throw away a good 90% of what we get. Once upon a time, I worked at a Goodwill. People think the clothes that are sold are washed. The clothes are not washed. I once was putting stuff away and found a dirty menstrual pad stuck to the crotch of a pair of jeans. Yeah. Definitely not washed. Domino's Pizza Tracker isn't accurate. Employees can enter shit on the computer to make your order to appear at a different stage than it actually is. The horror. Edit. Apparently some stores show where the driver is. Those are, to my knowledge, pretty accurate. The thing the employees change is the step in a series of steps to make and deliver your pizza. For example, the manager doesn't like the orders sitting on the shelf. The tracker says it's passing quality inspection, sitting on a heated rack. So, he will dispatch the order before a driver is there to take it. It makes the store's out the door time more impressive for the owers. Seriously, 2 weeks ago, I ordered Domino's for the last time in my life. After 10 minutes, it was on delivery. 45 minutes later, I call and ask, "Hey, where's my food?" She puts the phone down for 15 seconds, without muting it, I might add. Yeah, the driver just left. Call back another 45 minutes later, different person picks up, "Hey, I've been waiting over an hour and a half, where's my pizza?" "Oh, I am so sorry. That driver was in an accident, we're remaking it." Pizza arrives after 2 hours, 15 minutes. "Hey, this ticket says, the pizza was done 2 hours ago?" Delivery guy, "Oh no, we put the time an hour back, so they get out sooner." This shit is cold. It's been 2.5 hours, when it said, it was out 2 hours ago. I'm complaining to corporate and doing a chargeback on my credit card, tips him for bringing it, slams door. I call corporate as soon as they open, they tell me, "Oh yeah, we have had a lot of complaints about that location, thanks for the input," hangs up. Edit. Just to add, I called back the next day to ask if the driver was okay. They told me they didn't know what I was talking about, all of their drivers were fine. So, if anyone here is on James Island, that Domino's is full of a whole lying pricks. Edit. A letter. Also, F this place. You don't have to get a GED. It's just one type of high school equivalency, but GED is synonymous with that concept, so people don't know there are other options. Pearson likes it that way, because they can charge $120 per test, with most of that money going to Pearson. Pearson doesn't want you to know that, depending on availability, you can also take the high set or the task battery of tests, for half the price, or less. Until a few years ago, before Pearson stepped in, the GED cost $10 to $20 in most places. Edit. Not all colleges accept all forms of high school equivalency. And often, the high set or task can be almost as expensive as the GED. Unfortunately, it's complicated, and you have to do your research. Depending on where you live, you might be screwed, either way. Added context: because I didn't expect this to blow up, for decades, the GED was dirt cheap, because people who need a GED are usually broke. And then magically, when education giant Pearson showed up, everybody had to charge 10 times as much, because one of the easiest ways to get rich in America is to exploit poor people. A long time ago, I worked in a pet store at a mall. The company's motto was, "The customer comes first," which is a kind of F-up motto to have when you're selling, alive animals. They obviously cared more about sales than the animal's welfare, and would push rabbit sales around Easter, even though buying a rabbit, just because they're cute, around a particular holiday is a terrible, terrible idea. They also sold a number of exotic small animals that I'm pretty sure would have actually made terrible pets due to being nocturnal and high-strung. In short, don't shop at pet stores. Your local animal shelter has your new best friend waiting for you, for much cheaper, or maybe even free. Edit: for the record, the pet store was PJ's Pets in Canada. I just googled them, and turns out, they are shutting all of their stores. Best news I've heard in a while. Scientist here. About 50% of all published results cannot be reproduced in another lab. A lot of statistics are tweaked to get results that are statistically significant, which is skimming the edge of what's legal and what is not. Hacking man, it's gotten out of control. I just watched a series of master's student thesis presentations, and 8/10 of them had results based off of statistical analyses with holes big enough I could have driven a truck through. What I find really funny is that it was obvious that 99% of the audience just accepted the information, didn't ask questions, and gave standing ovations all day long. It felt like an elementary school science fair, but for adults. One of my Facebook friends interviewed for a teaching position at the school district I work for. She was nervous, and awaited the news with 100% more anxiety than she should have. The teacher shortage we have here is so bad, we'll pretty much take anyone that's completed their certification, including people that have just obtained it, and have never stepped foot in a classroom before. The sad thing is, I believe the shortage has more to do with how the state handles education and how teachers are treated. They demand higher and higher expectations with no increase in wages. The top of the industry get paid very, very well. Teachers get paid D. Then the good teachers, who have been doing it for a while, and are doing well, are being pushed out, because they cost too much. What you are left with are a bunch of inexperienced teachers, being pushed very hard, and are doing the best they can with what little they get. The sustainability policy is not about environment at all, is about cost reduction. I don't think anybody believes that companies are putting in less plastic in their bottles, or washing your towels at the hotel less, because they care. Same reason lawmakers are now supporting marijuana legalization in multiple states. They don't give two shits about public opinion and social issues. They just watched Colorado and Washington start raking in money, and they want to get it on the ground floor. If those states' legalization measures didn't create a substantial revenue flow, it wouldn't even be on the ballot in any state this November. I work at a very large farming company that grows and packages a certain vegetable. Hint: Bugs Bunny. The store brand and the private label brand right next to it are from the same field, and there is no difference between the product and it. I worked for a home security company. 2 big secrets. 1. About 90% of the salesmen are lying douchebags that will say anything to get you to sign up, and then think they can hold a contract against you. But if you complain enough to the right people, the legal department will cancel your contract outright. 2. The equipment is super cheap, despite the fact that they tell you that you are basically paying for the equipment over the length of your contract, so that you don't have a huge upfront cost. The parts for an average home, with an 8-piece system, panel included, only run about $800 at cost, if that, but it depends on the stuff you get. But you will pay out several thousand over the length of your initial 3 or 5 year contract. Any extensions on top of your initial contract, with no new equipment or services, is money straight into the pocket of the company. Monitoring ends up costing the company a few cents a day, when you break enough systems, across enough operators. If peace of mind is worth that to you, then go ahead and sign up. Monitoring service is excellent, but the equipment is shit. Your flight didn't get cancelled due to weather. There's an equal chance it got cancelled because of maintenance issues, staffing, or scheduling problems. If there's a cloud in the sky, at either airport, they will just code it as a weather cancellation, so the airline doesn't have to buy you a hotel room/meal vouchers. Edit. Wow, this is gaining some traction. People love hating on the airlines. Let me clarify a few points really fast. First, please be nice to the gate agents. Nobody likes to be screamed at for 12 hours a day for $15 an hour. It may be cathartic to roll your eyes and sigh and argue and haggle with them, but you don't see when they disappear onto the jet bridge and start sobbing while having a breakdown. Aside from that, raising your voice is more likely to earn you an escort outside security than it is to get you what you want. I'm not a gate agent, and every company has their own cancellation policies, so someone more familiar with that side of the business will have to answer your specific questions about calling them out on the cancellation. My gut feeling would be to document everything you can get your hands on, whether the timeline of the delay leading up to the cancellation, any gate changes. Try not to shove your phone into anyone's face. Like any other business heavily reliant on customer service, bringing your case to social media can sometimes do wonders. Otherwise, I don't really have an answer for you, I'm afraid. Please believe me when I say that nobody you actually talk with likes the direction the airline industry has taken in the last 20 years. Cheaper ticket prices are literally the only good thing that's happened. We wish we were back in the golden era of planes regularly leaving 3/4 full, with plenty of room to accommodate maintenance and crew cancellations, full meal service, and passengers, all wearing their Sunday best. Finally, remember that airline travel is not a guaranteed thing. I was being a little facetious when I said that half of all cancellations due to weather are something else. Most of the time it is weather, and you wouldn't believe the number of passengers who are incredulous that we would cancel just for a little rain. For most of you, the worst turbulence you've ever experienced in your life is still nowhere near what you would experience flying through the middle of a thunderstorm. So, if you need to be somewhere, consider flying in a day early if possible, or as early in the day as you are able. Not only are ticket prices cheaper, but if something happens, you'll have a way better chance of getting there eventually than the person who took the afternoon or evening flight. Leave yourself plenty of time to make your connection. If it's a multi-leg trip, an hour between flights is cutting it a lot shorter than you think it is. Try to give yourself 2 hours, or 3, if it's an international trip. And if it does look like the flight is going to be cancelled, all the suckers are immediately going to start calling the rebooking center. The smart travelers are going to grab a hotel room or a rental car before they all sell out. Used to work at a water park. 9 times out of 10, when the pool is shut down for maintenance or low chlorine levels, it means that someone shat in the pool. Someone died in the pool at Lifetime Fitness, and the next day, they sent an email saying that the pool will be closed to conform to the rules when an environmental incident occurs. Camera repair. Due to the camera industry and the entire electronic industry as a whole actively taking steps to undermine competition, we are barely holding on. Steps the camera manufacturers are taking: keeping all parts breakdowns private, can't find part numbers. Keeping all part price lists private, even if you have a number, can't get pricing without calling and ordering it, estimates take much longer. Keeping all technical data, schematics, troubleshooting guides, basic information regarding parts, private. Raising the cost of parts to point where repair is uneconomical, while still repairing items at a competitive price. Sometimes, the repair cost from the manufacturer is $20 more than the cost of the part. Refusing to sell parts to repair shops, i.e., Fuji, Tamron, Nikon, Ricoh/Pentax, Sony, Canon being the one exception, but they are raising the cost of all parts by 35% starting August 1st. Refusing to sell adjustment tools to repair shops, they have them, but will not sell them. Pricing repair and adjustment tools beyond what the market will bear, $250,000 tool required to adjust Nikon lenses. Keeping all necessary adjustment software private. For the longest time the argument I'd hear from manufacturers was, well, if we release this information or sell parts, we can't guarantee the quality of our products from inferior repair. Well, if you want inferior repair, that's how you get inferior repair. Now the argument is, we need to protect our intellectual property. The real answer is that repair undermines their ability to make sales. Sales drives the entire industry. Repair actually costs manufacturers money in the end. They have to have extra parts produced. They have to store them. They have to keep track of them. They have to have people to move them around. They need technicians to repair their devices, and have staff to manage the repair operations. They need to create adjustment tools and manuals, kept in-house. The list goes on. This is a power play, to get consumers' money, at all costs. I work for a mortgage company. 2 things. 1. If you're being foreclosed upon, and can afford an attorney, fight it. The number of foreclosures that could have been invalidated, if the borrower did something, as opposed to not showing up at all, which is what most do, is higher than one would think. 2. If you refinance, sell your house, or pay off your mortgage, get a copy of your lien release, preferably the recorded one. I can't tell you how many phone calls I get, where a sale is being held up, because a lien release was never prepared. It is currently illegal to autodial a cell number, from any equipment capable of autodialing, even in manual dial mode, without express written consent. Get name and address of dialing company, and have a lawyer send a notice. You'll settle for a few grand per incident. Be a real jerk, and get 50 numbers from a high turnover carrier, Boost Mobile. Then just wait for calls. Then sue everyone who calls, because you didn't give express written permission. We got dinged by a guy doing that. Edit: I'm getting a lot of questions on this, so I'll try to clarify. In the US, there is a dialing law, separate from the DNC laws, that restricts anyone dialing a cell phone from any equipment that could at any time be capable of auto-dialing from calling a cell phone. This is written such that hitting redial on your cell phone would be illegal. But they clarified this isn't how the law would be enforced. It also means that an auto-dialer set to manual mode would be illegal, but also completely impractical. Also, unlike DNC laws, there are no exceptions for businesses or prior relationships. Any cell phone, ever, requires express written consent to be auto-dialed. So, I'm not a lawyer. I'm an IT guy, working at a company that does legal and ethical dialing for our clients. But we make mistakes, and people bait us into making those mistakes. We were hit with a lawsuit for some guy who bought 50 lines from Boost, waited for agencies to call him, then had his lawyer send out notices that we didn't have written consent to dial his phone. We fought it, and showed we try to scrub and make every effort to not dial cell phones. Other companies probably want scrub for cells, and VoIP is starting to be treated the same way as cells. Getting the true name/address of the company is nearly impossible for unethical call centers. If it's an agency or collections, they will likely be more open about it. You can try Googling the number, but don't hold your breath. Also, you will likely need a lawyer, which costs money. Especially if you lose, depending on the lawyer. Honestly, do what I do. Remind them, you know you just called a DNC number, and auto-dialed a cell phone with my written permission. May I have your company name and address, please? And they will hang up, and you'll never hear from them again. If you have a bad company, record all your calls. To protect yourself with certain states, they could sue you back. Make sure they know it's recorded. Not all states are single-party states. Anesthesiologist here. A large part of my job is to protect you from the surgeon who doesn't care about your 5 heart attacks, unstable angina, and the fact that you ate breakfast when instructed not to. If your case is cancelled or delayed, there is almost always a good reason. The surgeon will make it seem like it is anesthesiologist's fault, but it is because they likely didn't care enough to ask about your medical history, didn't do the proper preoperative workup, or just don't care. Other than that, I have no secrets to report. Intraoperative awareness is exceedingly rare, 1 to 20,000. I won't let people make fun of you or talk inappropriately while you're under, and we take physician medication diversion/drug addiction extremely seriously.